Remember Adam said that we need a jingle. Howdy everybody and welcome to the Praise the Pickle podcast.
Woo!
Yeah. Come on. Another week.
Come on, another week.
Another whole week.
Yes, this is the Praise Pickle podcast where we talk about video games and everything that we love about said video games, everything that we hate about said video games, and everything that we find incredibly mediocre about said video games. I am your host, Mr. Benjamin, and I am joined by Mr. Daniel Watts.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Great.
And I'm also joined by Mr. Kevin Hart.
Good day.
Good day, how are you?
You know, in that moment that you have to say something for the first time and you panic. Apparently that's just what comes out of my mouth.
Yes. Good day, Kevin. How are you?
I'm now Australian. Yeah, I'm alright.
Yeah?
I've had a very gameless week.
That's shocking for a video game enthusiast.
But
yeah.
you know, we can come together and move on. Anyway, how are you, Dan?
How am I? I'm awesome.
Okay, we're all very well. Good.
You caught me off guard.
Yes, as always, please leave us some feedback on our social medias, Kevin.
Oh, I thought you were asking me to leave feedback.
Jesus Christ.
So to leave feedback, you can go to one of four places, or all four places if you feel like it. You can go Instagram, which is Praise the Pickle Podcast, Twitter and Facebook, which is Praise the Pickle, and then Gmail is praisethepicklepodcast@gmail.com, or email. Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin. And please rate, review, and subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. Let's kick off with the news. Go on, Mr. Daniel.
Roger that. I have some stories to share.
I am excited for said stories.
Can we all huddle around a campfire, please?
Yes.
Yes, get the marshmallows.
I'll put my fan heater on.
Might as well be a fire, that thing. It's mad hot. So I'm going to try and segue from last week. So some of the things that we spoke about, well, not just last week, but recently. A little while ago, we spoke about the heavy rumours of Nintendo Switch's revision, the Nintendo Switch Pro, or whatever they were going to call it.
Yes.
So Nintendo put out a financial report, mainly based or focused towards shareholders and investors and things like that. And on page 10, kind of buried down, it says, "Please note that we have no plans to launch a new Nintendo Switch model during 2020. So all of our hopes and dreams have been shattered. Never playing a video game
ground
again.
into dust." Yeah,
So,
I mean,
just wanted to get that out there.
yeah, it's a tough cookie to swallow, but I can see why, because I mean, if you also look at the rest of the financial report, they're doing ruddy well. Like
They're doing very well.
I think I saw that they're beating PlayStation 4 for as in for the period of time that the Switch has been out. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, big time! Yeah,
Really?
Yeah,
they're
which
at
is
like
mad.
50 million, which is half of what the PS4 has sold roughly in its entire lifespan. So they're doing very well, and like 20 million of that is over the last quarter or something.
Yeah, it's insane.
That might not be accurate, but it's something like that. And
I presume that they've probably grouped them together, though, haven't they? The Switch and Switch Lite. I imagine, yeah.
They will have done, yeah, for
but
sure.
Then again, Sony would have grouped together PlayStation and PS4 Pro, so like,
and the PS4 Slim, and yeah, exactly. And it's about the install base, and that's kind of what they're focusing on at the moment. So it does make sense that they don't want really people to upgrade just yet.
Yeah, I don't see why they would. It seems like a bit of a silly decision, to be honest.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't
But as much as I want like a freaking like OLED screen, like 1080p handheld, 4K on the dock, just all these lovely things. It's just I don't see why they would do it.
Yeah, one day
it will happen.
Yeah, of course it will. You gotta wait, Ben.
Just got to believe.
Okay, sit patiently. Be a good little boy.
Sure.
I'm quite happy, to be honest, with the decision. I think it's perfectly fine just as it is.
Yeah, I'm happy with my Switch as it is. So I'm just being greedy.
So that is not coming, but the PS5 is coming. We know that, and the official PlayStation 5 website has gone live. It snuck out there. It was kind of a ghost launch, but you can now go on the PS5 website. It's something like playstation.com/explore/PS5. And there's not really much on it, apart from a single statement which says we've begun to share some incredible features you can expect from PlayStation 5, but we're not quite ready to fully unveil the next generation of PlayStation. Sign up below to be among the first to receive updates, etc. About the PS5 price and the upcoming launch games. So yeah, if you want to stay up to date on the PS5 news, you can go there and register, but it's pretty exciting because it means something is just around the corner.
Heavy rumours that the announcement was going to be this month, but
I wouldn't be surprised if it was February at all. I think
because apparently they've done the same thing for every console pretty much, and every console prior to this was also announced in February as well. So it was always announced in February and released in holiday.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So it would make sense, I suppose. But at the same time, it's kind of a bit of a stretched rumour, that one. Basing a rumour off what they've previously done doesn't always pan out.
Yeah, well, it's trends, isn't it? If you see something happening constantly, you're gonna assume so. And if they're starting the rumours now, they're going along the same lines as what they've previously done.
Yeah,
it'll be good and it's exciting.
On the other hand, they're doing things very differently this year because they've dropped out of E3. They might surprise us. Maybe they'll announce it in January. Maybe they've already announced it and we don't even know.
Well, if they're not at E3, how's anyone gonna know? Come on.
So, next I'm gonna play my polymorph card. I'm gonna do my Dragon Ball Z. I'm gonna do my Dragon Ball Z fusion. Ha ha. Thank you.
I'm ready.
And I'm gonna come.
Kevin scrape out. Jesus.
I felt left out.
I'm gonna combine the last two pieces of news. A survey has gone out to the community.
Yes.
And it's teasing, or at least pointing towards, the possibility of having PS4 or PlayStation Remote Play on the Switch.
Bum bum bum.
So,
cool.
Basically, some background on this. The Sony have put out some surveys, and what they've said is it's just kind of to get a gauge of what people want so they can build the best service and the best platform. We want to know what works for you guys. And one of the questions in that, which was shared on Reddit, was how important is the ability to play PS4 Remote Play on more devices, for example, the Nintendo Switch, Apple TV and Android TV, but primarily Nintendo Switch.
That is pretty cool, but at the same time, it's kind of pointless, isn't it? Because you'd still need an internet connection, and you'd still need to be where your PlayStation is. So what's the point?
Well, I mean, the point is you can sit in the bath and play Killzone 2.
Just for the record, we do not endorse playing the Nintendo Switch in a bath.
I do. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Just health and safety hazards, but that's fine.
It's not a health and safety hazard. It's a Switch hazard. It's not going to kill you.
You never know. You don't know how much power that thing gives out.
It's not a toaster, Ben.
It might as well be.
No, that's what Ben's playing with in the. No, that's what Dan's playing with in the bath.
Yeah, a toaster.
He's just got a pile of toast next to him outside the bath.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see the point. Personally,
I think it's a wicked idea. I think it's well exciting.
But
I love the idea of.
Why not, Ben? Why not?
Well, it's like, yeah, why not? Fine, but I'm not. I just don't. I would never use it. I don't see the point in that. I have a PlayStation and I can only use it at home where the PlayStation is. Why don't I just play the PlayStation?
Yeah, but if you've got a PlayStation up in your, I don't know, 3rd floor bedroom or whatever, and you're sitting downstairs on the sofa and you want to pick up...
I never go downstairs, come on.
You don't, but plenty of people do. You know, I want to pick up God of War where I left off, and you can just sit and play God of War in handheld on the sofa whilst you're watching telly or whatever. Like, I think that's...
And it's handheld as well.
And also it gives you access to the massive library that Sony have. Think about how many games they have on the store and all the indie games and all that kind of stuff.
Maybe I would. Maybe I'll be eating my words. But
I guarantee you will.
I wouldn't guarantee it, but...
And I hope they taste disgusting.
Jesus. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Cool stuff. Only a rumour. Doesn't really mean anything. It's just a survey, but judging by the internet's response to that, people are kind of hyped about it. So I imagine the answer to the question was, what's the option they used? Extremely appealing is probably what's coming up.
Sony, I feel like Sony is still a bit butthurt about the PS Vita not doing very well. And I can't see their history of working with other platforms is not very good, and I just can't see them going to Nintendo and be like, "Can we put our thing on your console, please?" I just don't see it. Like I can see Microsoft Xbox Game Pass going to it. 100% can see that because Xbox is just like, yeah, stick it wherever, man. Stick it on your fridge. I don't care. But like, I just can't see Sony doing that. I mean, they've been falling out since day as well. I remember you told that news story about there was going to be a console with a cartridge and a disc or something, and they had a falling out then. And they've
that's a good point.
That was donkeys ago. I just can't see them. I don't know. Sony are just so precious, aren't they? They're just like, oh no, we're the best console out there. I just can't see them using another system, like another game system anyway, because all you're doing is just convincing people to buy someone else's hardware, doesn't?
Yeah, but they've all come out recently. All three of the big developers have quite openly said that Nintendo are not competitors with Microsoft and Sony at all. Like they don't care. They want them to control that industry, and they're not worried about them at all. They don't come up in any of the
that's what Nintendo have said though.
No, Microsoft have said it too.
Yes, exactly. That's what Microsoft and Nintendo have said. What have Sony said?
Yeah, that's the point.
So Sony are just so precious. I don't know.
I think they have been. I think they've made a lot of mistakes, but then so have Microsoft, and they've changed their ways.
Very
and Sony
true.
is starting to change. They're crossing over into crossplay, for example. They're letting people change their names at last. So they are listening to the community.
It just takes them about 5 or 6 years to sort of get it done. You know, if they put a survey out now, maybe halfway through the PS5's lifespan, we might get remote play on the Switch.
Maybe. Might take a while. But I mean, nobody's perfect. Do you remember the Red Rings of Death? The Kinect?
The Kinect was amazing.
No, what?
Dan, it tracked like 300 body parts at the same time. I don't even have 300 body parts. I don't know how I did it.
Kinect was awful.
Yeah, but Dan, you could walk into a room and say Xbox on.
Yeah, how easy is that? It's you haven't got to worry about going over and pressing the button to turn it on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Think about how much fatter you could get.
Exactly.
Can't wait. Anyway, there's some rumours for you, some Sony, some Nintendo stuff. We also have some sad news.
Oh, you're supposed to end on a happy one.
We have some sad news.
Oh dear God!
Adam passed away.
What? No.
Oh
my God, Kevin!
Kevin, you're such a bastard.
You can't just come out with stuff like that.
The podcast was his last hurrah.
No, Kevin, just stop. Just stop.
What's the sad news?
Yeah,
Take it away from this sad news.
Funnily enough, the sad news is that somebody has left us.
Oh.
His name is Dan Hauser.
Oh.
He and his brother Sam. Funnily enough, I'm also called Dan, and I also have a brother called Sam. But anyway, he and his brother Sam actually founded a little-known company called Rockstar.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
For 20 years, they've been making some pretty amazing video games, top of the crop, the best of the best, most people would say, many people would say. And he's leaving the company. So, yeah, his last day is in April or something. He's been the lead writer of some games like Grand Theft Auto 5, which had absolutely remarkable writing.
Never heard of it.
Oh, you should check it out.
It's an indie game, isn't
it? Yeah. It's I haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2, but he also wrote Red Dead Redemption 1, which was brilliant, and GTA 5 had some of the best writing I've ever heard in a video game. And he's leaving, which is sad. We don't know why yet. No, we don't know yet.
I mean, to be fair, if he's been there 20 years, he's probably raking in the Benjamins, man, and he's just like...
the Benjamins.
He's got a bunch of Ben's on the floor and he's just got
have you guys not heard? Yeah, Benjamin Franklin's. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Shut up then, bruv.
The interesting thing about this is that we know that pretty much know that GTA 6 is in development, so nobody's really sure what's happening with that. We don't know whether the game is now done and it's just kind of in the optimization phase, or whether he left halfway through development. So that'd be interesting to see. I'm hoping that he's finished it because he's done such a good job of all the previous ones. And
that would be a good last hurrah, wouldn't it?
I hope so. It better be bloody good.
He could be like the main character in it.
Yeah, just swap him out. Easy.
Yeah.
Are both of them leaving?
Just Dan, I think. I don't know if Sam even works there anymore, to be honest. But yeah.
Well, do some more research then. Jesus, call yourself a journalist.
All right, I'm sorry.
Disgusting.
You know what? I give up. No more news.
Is that your last story?
No, I've got plenty more.
Oh, cool.
There is. We're already like 18 minutes in.
I thought you said a couple of. I know. That's why I was like, what? I thought you said a couple of news stories ago that there was the last two.
Well, I'm going to keep going because I do have some more. We have another departure.
Oh god.
This one's a weird one though. So Rod Ferguson, who has worked on every Gears of War game so far, much beloved series as we all know.
Yes.
He's recently left, but we know where he's going, and he's going to work on Diablo with Blizzard.
Oh really?
Which is a really weird move. I don't get that. I don't. What
does he do? Or for Gears?
I think he's like one of the vice presidents or executive producers. I can't remember.
The Coltrane.
Thank you, Kevin. Great input there, Kev.
Maybe he is.
Just got that reference.
It's like the worst impression ever as well. The Coltrane.
I'm ill, alright? Come on. Everything comes out my nose at the moment.
I don't know what his role was. He was high up though. He started there in 2005. So he's been there for a while. I imagine he was in some senior position. But
knowing Blizzard's shoddy, just everything, just Blizzard being the worst company in the world right now, they probably kidnapped his family or something to get him on board. Just something completely outrageous,
infected them all with coronavirus. They're holding the vaccine as ransom.
Wow.
Speaking of coronavirus, segue. We have a few coronavirus related things. I won't go too much into detail, but we have the Outer Worlds Switch port has been delayed due to the coronavirus from March until April. So not a massive delay, but I think we should expect that to keep going back until things settle down.
Yeah.
But they've basically given them an extra month. God, are you bored already, Ben? Jesus Christ.
What happened?
You yawned. I heard that. Don't try and sneak that in.
I didn't know.
Oh, okay. On top of that, we have delays on Nintendo Switch production and peripherals. So things like the what's the ring called? The Ring.
Oh, Wii Fit Ring Adventure.
Yeah, that one.
There's much happened with that thing.
Yeah, it's done pretty well. It's done relatively well for a peripheral. People quite like it. People are speed running on it now. Have you seen it? People are trying to speed run through this like
just like pegging it in their living room. Just like, come
they
on.
are. It's like a 10-hour speed run. It's crazy.
It's mad.
That's
So-
called sprinting.
For 10 hours, Kevin. Who sprints for 10 hours?
I don't know, people with the Wii Fit, apparently. With the Wii Ring.
None of us. That's been delayed in production, so people that have ordered it, they're out of stock in a lot of places, and they're saying you're going to have to wait a bit longer because of this corona thing.
I did see an article that oh wait, have you got another one about coronavirus?
The other one is the Animal Crossing Switch pre-orders have been delayed as well, but I'm sure there's plenty of other things.
Yeah, 'cause I heard that the PlayStation and Xbox might be delayed as well, or the PlayStation at least. I can't remember, but
Potentially.
I mean, we haven't even got release dates, so they could technically delay it all they want now because we wouldn't even know it's been delayed. So
Yeah, as long as it's still in the holiday 2020.
Yeah, otherwise they're pretty screwed.
So on that note, Sony have said that we would like to offer our deepest apology to customers for any trouble this is causing. Yes,
Fair.
lots of trouble. I can't burn calories in my living room anymore. We will segue from Animal Crossing
All
news
the segues today.
Yeah, there's quite a few in there. So Animal Crossing.
I've heard of it.
Most people should know about it. If you don't, it's
It's a shit Stardew Valley.
There goes half of our viewership.
Stardew Valley's better.
Right, guys,
Okay?
it was nice having you here. I disagree with Ben for the record, but I'm joking. I haven't played either of them. It's a village management game with sort of cartoony graphics, lots of little characters. You can manage a farm and do lots of sort of life sim type stuff. That's probably the worst explanation, and all you super fans are going to tear me apart. But it's a very beloved
it's
game.
Pretty much what it is. It's kind of like a slice of life anime, but in a game.
Yeah.
So like just to act like a thing about nothing. If that makes sense. It's just about life. Like there's no real plot to it. You just sort of get on with life.
Yeah.
Kind of like being a sim.
Yeah,
kind of.
I guess. Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. It's it's known for being a very relaxing game. Like you can just really chill and play it, and people play it over the... Yeah, literally. And people play it for years and years. They play it for like really long periods of time, and many people have thousands of hours in it because it's their like go-to. They just chill and manage their farm and water their crops and go fishing and all that kind of stuff. So the new one's coming out. People are very, very excited about it. I think it's coming out on March the 20th. And some more information came out of a German publication, I believe, which highlighted some of the features that it has or doesn't have. So basically,
this has been delayed. I don't know if you said this. It's been delayed like 3 times, I think. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
but
so fans are like
surprised.
already, on the edge with this game. So I don't know.
Freaking out.
Yeah.
So this one's a pretty big deal, I think, and a pretty major problem. The players that buy the game for Nintendo Switch will only be able to...
I'm so sorry.
You're a fool.
I'm so sorry. My finger twitched and I muted the mic. I'm sorry. The players will only be able to...
The players will only be able to create one island. So this is an island now, as opposed to a village, which is what it used to be.
Yeah.
Players will only be able to create one island per Switch. Even if they create more accounts on the device or buy extra copies of the game, it's hardware locked to the Switch. So the way that works is if your spouse or your son or your daughter... Spouse? Who uses the word spouse anymore?
You do, apparently.
Significant other, you know what I mean? Your friend or whatever wants to play...
Friends with benefits.
The game, sure, exactly. Want to play on your
granddad
copy on your Switch? Your granddad might want to play, exactly. I know lots of old people play this game, actually. Yeah, I think they get the idea.
Your widowed friend.
Yes, they will...
Your dentist.
Their character will be set in your God, you guys are distracting me so much.
The character will be set in
point.
your world. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Go on.
This is the first point. I've got 6 more to make on this.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, go. Sorry.
Let me get on
We'll
with it.
We'll shut up. Dentist.
I hate you guys.
Right,
So they will. All of your characters on the Switch, all of your accounts on the Switch will be set up in the same island. You can have up to 8 accounts per Switch, but it's all on the same island. And if you want to create another island, you can't. You have to buy another Switch and start again.
What?
Wait,
Literally.
what? That's terrible.
Yeah. So basically, they've specified and been quite explicit with all of this so far. There are no transfers allowed between consoles, which is a major problem if, for example, your Switch breaks, you decide to go and get a Switch Lite, or you decide to upgrade your console, or buy a new one for whatever reason. It does not support any kind of cloud saving whatsoever.
Oh, that's the best of both worlds then. Great.
Yep, so you can't back it up into the cloud. So again, if you lose your Switch or it breaks, you're screwed. So if you've got 2,000 hours, you're
and just for the record on that one, if you I don't know if they still do this, but when the Switch first came out, whenever you sent your Switch back to Nintendo for repairs, they would wipe the thing. They would always wipe it. So if you have to send your thing off for repairs and you have no way of backing up the data, you're screwed. That's it. So.
Well, the producer, Higashi Nagami, said that it's confirmed that they wouldn't make use of this feature because it would potentially open the doors to players manipulating the game's internal calendar.
Oh, no.
So I know. So apparently people used to change the date and time on their Switch and make crops grow faster or something. I don't know how they
Who
use
cares?
that.
It's not a bloody competitive online game, is it? It's just your own thing. Who cares? If someone wants to do that and cheat their way through the game, fucking let them. Why does it matter? It's like hacking a single player game. It doesn't make a difference, does it? It's like
they clearly don't want people to exploit it. They want people to put the hours in, basically.
Well, it's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, but okay.
There's basically absolutely no way to transfer it off the Switch, and it's hardware locked. So obviously, it's not great. People are a bit upset.
That's shocking. Like in this day and age, that is shocking.
However, I think it was yesterday, Nintendo have obviously heard the wave of feedback from people saying that that's not good. What happens if I lose my Switch? There was a story a few months ago actually about an old grandma somewhere who was showing off her. I want to say it might have been Animal Crossing, but it could have also been the other one.
Farming Simulator.
Not Farming Simulator, no. The other one.
Stardew Valley.
You mentioned it.
Stardew Valley?
Stardew Valley.
Stardew Valley, thank you. Yeah, I think she had like 3,000 or 4,000 hours or something, and she was showing it off, and she made it into the papers, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's so cute." Can you imagine if she lost 4,000 hours of gameplay
I can't,
when she's like 90 years old? Like, ugh, come on, man. So backup functionality might actually be coming. So for cases where,
but people might exploit the game, Dan. People might cheat to grow their crops. Oh no.
Well, yeah. I mean. Obviously, I can give them a pass on it being locked to the Switch. It's annoying and it's stupid that you can't make another account on the Switch and start your own island. You can't even buy a new cartridge and start your own island. You have to buy a new console. You can only have one island. It's ridiculous. But I can kind of give them a pass for that. It's the idea that you will lose everything if your console breaks. So Nintendo have said on that point that for cases where a Switch is broken, lost, or stolen, we are considering implementing a save feature. We are considering implementing save data backup functionality. God, that took a while to get out.
My God, it took them 3 years to bring backup functionality. 3 years.
I don't think they didn't realise what the backlash would be. It's a stupid oversight, but they are saying it will be unique to this game, so it won't be the same as, say, the standard Nintendo Online save data backup functionality. It'll be some bespoke thing. They might even have a whole character in the game dedicated to it.
This is ridiculous, though. People have been asking for this since the Switch came out. I've been listening to lots of podcasts, right, and I've been listening to them since around the time the Switch came out. So I've heard that the whole journey of the Switch, and people have been crying out for this since day one. Why can't they just simple backup? Just a simple backup feature.
You can do save data backup.
No, you can't.
You can. Nintendo Switch Online allows you to do it.
No. But backup, physical backup.
Oh right, yeah.
Like every other console can do it, pretty much. Like, why can't they do it?
I don't know.
It's redonkulous, I tell you.
It is, but at least Nintendo were addressing the fact that people shouldn't lose everything if they lose their console.
I guess
it's a small thing, but it won't be available at launch. From the sounds of it, they're still going to aim for the March 20th release, and this will probably be a patch that comes out a bit later. Yay!
That's good.
Woohoo.
I mean, I'm glad they're addressing that singular problem, I suppose, but it's still a bit annoying.
On the subject of addressing problems, segue.
Nice. God, full of the segues today, man.
I don't know where they're coming from. Warcraft 3, Blizzard even have put out a statement addressing the concerns of the community. And
Is concerned really the word?
The
outrage?
Absolute outrage of the community.
Concerns. The concerns.
Oh, I'm a bit worried about this one. Oh, no.
For the record,
that is just so standard PR shite, isn't it? Addressing the concerns. Jesus Christ.
It's awful though. The actual so I don't know if you remember the apology, or I don't know if you can even call it an apology. I think it was at BlizzCon where the guy from Blizzard, whose name I don't care to remember, stood up and gave... Was it? No.
Mo Farah, isn't it?
Oh, we're going to stop. We'll stop. If you did your journalism properly, Dan, we wouldn't have this issue, would we? So...
This isn't even part of the story. I'm just
I know.
doing a throwback.
Yeah, go on.
He gave at BlizzCon. It was about like the Hearthstone Blitzchung thing.
Oh god,
something else that they'd upset. Oh, the mobile phone thing. The
Diablo Immortals.
Whatever it's called,
Immortals.
And it was this really kind of fake PR apology where he had like these crocodile tears in his eyes, and he was like, "I take full responsibility, and we are very sorry," and this kind of stuff, and it was awful.
We are very sorry.
Okay.
Nice South Park.
Yeah, I mean, it's just generic PR BS. If you're looking, just look in the direction of Blizzard. Whenever you want to see generic PR shite, everything they do is that, basically. There's nothing personal about them at all. Like, they're just... where you feel like you kind of know... what's his face from Xbox, the dude that always wears the gaming t-shirts and the suit jacket over the top. Roger. No, I don't know what his name is.
Who from what company?
Microsoft, the top dog one.
Bill Gates.
No, Xbox. Sorry.
Phil Harrison.
Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer.
Phil Spencer.
Yeah.
Where did I get Phil Harrison?
I have no idea. We are just great with names today, I have to say. Yeah. Mo Farah,
Phil Harrison is Google, not.
There you go.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
But anyway, so Phil Spencer and even the guy from Bethesda, you feel like you kind of know them. Does that make sense? It feels like a bit more of a personal chat sort of thing when they talk, whereas with Blizzard it's just shite.
Which is sad because it used to feel that way back in the day, like when World of Warcraft especially was being announced and people were playing that initially. It was such a personal relationship that everyone had with the developers and the company.
Yeah.
And now it's the most, I would say, potentially even more so than EA. And if it's not more corporate than EA, then it's certainly a more drastic shift than I've ever seen before.
Yeah.
Like from this lovely kind of consumer-focused company to this massive, obviously largely Chinese-owned corporate entity that's...
It's really weird. It is really weird because it's like you said, EA have always been a bit iffy, and they have always been a bit like... But yeah, Blizzard I used to quite like, but I don't know. Because I used to like the Overwatch stuff with what's his face, Jeff, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to like him, and I used to like that whole side of it. But now even Overwatch just feels really corporate. The whole thing just feels really corporate. It's really weird. But
so I'm not going to read out the whole letter because it's bullshit. But a couple of highlights from it. The first paragraph, which is, "Hail War 3 players.
Hello.
We've been following the discussions the last couple of days and want to thank you for your feedback as well as your support. First off, we want to say we're sorry for those of you that didn't have the experience you wanted, and we'd like to share our plans for what's coming next." End quote. So can I just say, this is not an apology at all. First off, we want to say we're sorry to those of you who didn't have the experience you wanted. Hold on a minute. No, that's not saying sorry we fucked up. Right? We made a piece of garbage game. That's saying that our game's fine. It's your fault. You didn't have a good time.
The main issue of this is the word "you."
Yeah, exactly. It's passing the blame.
Yeah, it's like the thing. Okay, sorry you didn't have the experience that you wanted. It's not an apology. It's like a whatever. I don't know what the word is, but you know when you sort of a fake apology, if that makes sense. Sort of like, I'm sorry that you did something wrong, and it's like, wait, what? How did that work? But the main issue is that coming back to the whole story from the start, they were the ones that promised all of this stuff. So you can't say, I'm sorry you didn't get the experience you wanted. You should be saying, I'm sorry you didn't get the experience that we promised you. That was the issue.
They haven't admitted that they've done anything wrong at all.
Yeah.
So the second paragraph goes on to... In fact, I'm just going to run through quite a few of these points. It's really interesting how they've dodged all of it. And this is like...
Classic
It's now
Blizzard.
It's the lowest rated game on Metacritic. So much... It was so bad that the fans came together and started to...
Review bomb it?
Well, obviously they review bombed it to an insane degree. And it's not just like some internet trolls that have done it. It's like the entire community have just come together and gone, no, this isn't good enough. We need to make a statement here. And they've also gone into the review scores of games that were previously slightly lower and given them slightly higher scores just to creep them up the scales. So they've guaranteed that this game was at the bottom.
Like I've said it before in this podcast, I'll say it again. Do not fuck with the gaming community.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Making waves.
Yeah.
So the second paragraph, you'd think that they would go on to address some of the serious concerns that people have had, apologise for some of their mistakes, or at least admit that they've missed some major things out. The first paragraph goes on to say, during the first few hours on launch day, we experienced some server load issues that impacted players' abilities to jump right in. We were able to resolve those later in the day.
Oh, good job, Blizzard.
Hold on, slow clap. Well done, Blizzard. I love that though. That sense of this massive. That's a really slow clap.
That's all they deserve. Okay.
I can't believe it. I'm absolutely astonished that they started this letter off addressed to this massive community with, "We fixed the problem as quickly as we could. Look how great we are." And that's the first problem that they address, some network issues. Okay, fine.
This is shocking, man.
You are excellent. Good job.
Give yourselves a pat on the back.
Yeah, exactly. So then they go on to say, separate from that, we've seen some community feedback about the different aspects of Reforged that we want to take some time to address. Okay, this is looking promising. They're actually going to go through some of the major issues.
I'm ready. Tell me. Go.
And address them. I kind of feel like I just want to go through this whole letter, actually.
Yeah, go on.
It's really interesting.
Yeah,
I'm like a quarter of the way through it anyway.
Do it.
And we're good for time, so screw it. Before we go on... Sorry, this is the quote again. Before we go on, the team is excited that Warcraft 3 is finally upon us, and we're fully committed to supporting the game for a long time to come. The next few patches and updates we'll discuss below are just part of our ongoing plans. The game is an integral part of the Blizzard DNA, with a team that loves Warcraft 3, and we're looking forward to pouring our hearts into Reforged and the Warcraft 3 community in the long term. So they think it's going to be a long-term game that's going to get better over time.
Good.
Bullshit. This game's going to be dead in a month. One of the concerns with... So they finally got into the concerns, right? The first concern they address, bearing in mind that some of the things that we spoke about last week were pretty major issues, you know? Like, completely removing the original game that people love, like stopping people from playing it and then release. Anyway, the first thing that they address is we've seen that there are issues with the visuals when selecting classic mode. We've identified a bug causing colours and shading to look different from the original Warcraft, and we're testing a fix to address the issue. We'll release that later this week.
Wow.
I'm flabbergasted.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that they address. Some slight colour bugs and a little bit of a shading issue.
Hey,
Okay.
some people, care about the little bits of detail.
Some people, I'm sure, do. Yeah. The patch will address many other known issues, such as fixing some portrait animations and audio bugs, and implementing some UI fixes. Not the new UI that they promised, or some UI updates, or some new UI changes. No. They're just going to fix some of the broken bits of it. Great.
Fantastic.
So we've still got the original UI. So for those who don't know, one of the original things that they promised at BlizzCon when they announced this game was a brand new overhauled user interface. The original one being one of the concerns. One of the issues that people had with the original Warcraft 3. It was one of the lesser features.
I'm slightly concerned with the lack of content.
I'm slightly concerned that this is the worst game ever.
Episode title: Concerns. Yeah, go on.
So that's the first thing they address. Some other areas we are seeing that people are complaining about basically are leaderboards and clans. Apparently they're actively working to implement a new MMR system for ranked play. Fair enough.
But wasn't there an MMR system on the original one?
Yes.
Right.
Well, I don't know if there was an MMR
fine.
system, but there was a ranked system. There was ladders and there was all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, basically they need to redo it.
Just bloody keep the old one in there and then
Just give us the old game back.
Yeah, just give us the old game back.
It's as simple as that. And then watch how many people play the new one and you'll see that it's a waste of time.
It's such an easy fix. Like,
yeah,
job done.
But they know deep down in their cold dead hearts that if they release,
Jesus.
if they
That's an absolutely savage statement. But okay. Go on, yeah.
There's no holding you back, is there? Jesus.
I'm concerned with them.
The news every week. Just every single week there's a bloody Blizzard story, and Dan just despises them to his core now.
But they know if they release the old one, it will be so clear in the numbers how many people will just migrate backwards that the new game will just die. They're literally funneling people into it through, matter of eliminating every other option.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly is it just
Don't you dare say what is Warcraft 3.
No.
Oh,
is it
thank
just
God.
a graphical improvement that has...
I mean...
Is that near enough?
It's hard to call it an improvement. I think probably... From what I saw, the only difference was that you could play at higher sort of textures and resolutions, but it wasn't like a complete overhaul. No, it's kind of like playing a PS1 game on a 4K screen at 4K resolution. If that makes sense. Like, fine, you get more pixels, but it ain't gonna look good.
Yeah. So even with what they promised initially, this game, if they had given us everything that they said they would, it would still look like a retro RTS game. It wouldn't look like the comparison between, I don't know, Resident Evil 2 remake and the original one. It was nothing like that. Yeah. It wasn't a complete rebuild. It was just, let's update the models a little bit, but it's still the same gameplay, the same movement and similar animations. So it was just like a modernization of it, really. But at this point, it's not even that. It's a stripped down version of the original, and it's insane.
It is bonkers. I just don't get it at all. Like, I don't get how all of those people in that office were just like, why? Or what's the point in this? Surely we've just wasted however many years ruining a classic
and the money
game
as well.
And the money, yeah. But that is the sole reason they won't move back is purely out of two things. From what we just saw from that response, the first thing is pride. They are adamant that their game is good, basically, and they're wrong, but they will not admit that they're wrong because they're Blizzard. And the second thing is money, because if they move back to the old one, then that's it. That there was a complete waste of money because no one will buy the new one now. You know.
Silly.
Yes.
Now that was a yawn.
That was a yawn, Kevin.
I was itching my ear.
Oh yeah, the classic yawn trigger.
Yeah.
Don't itch your ear or make you yawn.
You know, when you're ill, it's just what happens. Everyone knows that, don't they?
Yeah, sure,
yeah. Anyway.
You got mic mute for a reason, Kev, yeah? So you can yawn.
I was itching my ear.
Shut up. Right.
I was limited in fingers.
You know we were talking about the comparison of Blizzard and EA?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the comparisons here. So this is EA's first sort of main public address after the fall of Anthem.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so they said, we continue to invest heavily in Anthem with developers working on game quality, content, systems and game mechanics. It's a great original IP and we've doubled down on the product. We are committed to the live service for Anthem and delivering for our community in this new IP over the long term. We believe in the team at BioWare and we also believe in what they set out to achieve with this game, building a new IP and melding genres to reach a new audience. So it basically goes on saying, we believe we can do it, it's going to be amazing, don't worry guys, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't admit any of their mistakes again.
Yeah, it's the same copy-paste.
Yeah.
Out of corporate rulebook 101. Don't admit any fault
I
in case somebody sues you.
I wonder whether we can find like a public address template on on Google somewhere, and like I can almost guarantee that it's basically templated because it's like there's none of it is it's just such a businessy thing, isn't it? Like It's just not gamey. It's really odd. Yeah.
But people and businesses and people in power, they never admit to mistakes. They never think they're in the wrong. It's always we can throw money at a problem.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I think certain companies do. Like,
yeah, you're gonna get some people, but when it's more of a business rather than an actual game-loving type thing.
Yeah, I think that's the difference.
Does that make sense?
It's not made by people that love games, if that makes sense. Like, it's not... There doesn't seem to be any passion in it. It's just about money. And you can tell it's just about money from the get-go, and then you hear these public address things, and you're just like, it's just about money. That's it. And they're never going to say that they did anything wrong because they've got all these stakeholders in there and all this stuff. You know, they're going to blame everyone else, say it's your fault for not enjoying it and stuff like that. So yeah.
Not according to paragraph 3, where they say we have a very dedicated team who love the game. Blah blah blah.
The team might love it. The team might love it.
Yes, that's true. The developers
people,
might love it.
Yeah, doesn't mean the people that are higher and are giving them a limited amount of money, time, restrictions, boundaries, all that.
The thing is, I don't even want to give them a pass for that on this. So, like, when we had all the concerns about Modern Warfare's Infinity Ward's Modern Warfare, for me, I was like, I don't blame Infinity Ward because they created a really good product. It's Activision, again, same company, funnily enough, who have tried to screw this up and all these
yeah. That is something we do have to remember. Yeah.
But the developers are great. But in this case, I don't even know if you can say that, because the only thing really that's in this game that wasn't in the original is the character models. And they weren't even made by Blizzard. They were outsourced to some, I think it was a company in Singapore or something. So their internal developers didn't even make this. Make the models. So if they didn't make the models...
And that's the only new thing.
What did they do?
They must have had at least one coder to be able to get rid of all of the stuff that they got rid of. Just one guy sitting there going, the ranked system. Yeah, just highlight all of that.
Delete.
Yeah.
Literally.
That's insane. But it's like that thing that you said about them saying, we have the developers love our game, sort of thing. Again, as you read that, I was reading this EA one, and it's the same thing. It's we believe in the team at BioWare. and they love the game, and it's just like,
well, once we get enough of these, we'll be able to pump them into an AI, and you'll just be able to like give it a subject like fairy unicorn manticores, and it will create an apology letter about those things. I don't know.
I know, it's so bollocks, isn't it?
Anyway, so I'll fly through the last little bit.
Yeah.
There are some individual concerns that we've seen that we're not planning to currently address. I wanted to give the community a heads up. So this is where they're going to obviously talk about all the major things that they're not going to do anything about, just to let us know that they've heard us, but sorry, we can't do anything about it. As of version 1.3 of the original game, we saw very low usage of tournaments and of the Reign of Chaos rule set. This was like one of the custom game rule sets in the game anyway. So we removed both in mid-2019 in version 1.31, eliminating the maintenance for unused elements, and it's helped us streamline the overall support for the game, blah blah blah, without impacting many players. That said, we do not anticipate that players who prefer Reign of Chaos will find custom games with similar rule sets, which we hope will satisfy that concern.
See, I kind of get where they're coming from with that, because like, if people aren't playing something, why would they put it out? But then at the same time, it's kind of like, just don't fix what ain't broken, man.
I think I've read that last sentence.
101.
Yeah, it's like,
I think I read that last sentence wrong. They're saying that basically there should be custom games that people make within this that will basically scratch the same itch as this Reign of Chaos campaign, which was in the original at some point and then removed. They're saying we're not going to add it back because you can basically make it yourself. Which I think, you're right. I think that's fair enough. They go on to say, related to that, as we talked about last year at BlizzCon, we did not want the in-game cutscenes to steer too far from the original game.
Oh, fuck off.
Come on. This is the worst excuse I've ever heard, right? We went a little bit deeper into the thought process behind that at the show, but the main takeaway is that the campaigns tell one of the classic stories in Warcraft history, and we want to preserve the true spirit of Warcraft 3 and allow players to relive those unforgettable moments as they were, albeit with new animations and higher fidelity art. That's what they had to say about the 4 hours of high-quality CGI cutscenes they just lied to us about and got rid of at the last minute. It was a totally intentional choice, and we felt like it would make a better product. No, it wasn't, you lying scumbag. What are you talking about?
Oh, man, it's getting hot in here. Jesus.
I'm so angry.
Turn that fan heater off. Yeah,
I'm so angry.
Yeah,
worst excuse.
That's the biggest load of BS I've heard. In that, I can't believe that as an excuse. That is incredible. Yeah. Why can't they just come out and say, "Look, we didn't have the money. Done.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Activision pulled the funding.
You ain't got the money. There's nothing you can do about it." But that's the reason this doesn't work. It's because Activision won't let them say that. That's the issue.
Exactly.
They can't come out. They could be the nicest guy on the planet, but they can't say any of this stuff. Because Activision have just got them by the bloody ballsack, like they can't do anything. They can't say, the reason this game was shit is because they pulled the funding. No, they can't say that because Activision will go apeshit, and then they'll drop the funding for Diablo. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
you got to remember as well. This isn't just some studio that's like owned by Activision. This is basically Activision speaking now.
Yeah,
they're trying to justify everything that they've done.
Yeah,
and it just makes me so angry. So last paragraph, which is
more.
obviously last. Sorry, I know, but this is the last paragraph, and this is going to obviously they're finally going to get round to the big points.
I'm
right?
ready.
The most important bits.
I'm ready.
So, we know this update doesn't address all of the questions, but we're committed to the development and support of the game. We hope you will keep an eye on this week's patch and future updates and let us know what you think as we continue fine-tuning things. Oh, don't worry, Blizzard. We will let you know what we think. Until then, thank you as always for your support and passion for Warcraft 3. We appreciate all of your feedback and we'll continue to keep the Warcraft 3 community updated. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah.
Go suck yourself.
That's the end. Thank you, Kevin. That's exactly my thought.
Yeah, Blizzard, man.
So,
sort your lives out, yeah.
I feel like they forgot to talk about a little bit. Maybe the fact that Warcraft 3, the original, is gone. Maybe the fact that they now own every single piece of community-made work that people put into the game. Maybe the fact that they don't need to credit anybody. I just heard a noise that sounded exactly like the noise that happens when you put Switch controllers into a Switch.
Oh, that was my finger. It clicked. I didn't know I could make that noise.
So, yeah, frankly, that was bullshit. And they should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah.
That's absolutely awful.
Yeah.
We expect.
I won't be satisfied until it gets a 0.01 on Metacritic. I won't be satisfied until Metacritic actually make reviews to 2 decimal places just to cater for Warcraft 3 Reforged.
Amazing.
It's just like, the score is so low we can't call it 0.1 anymore, so we're gonna have to add another decimal place.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm starting to like EA at this point, and that says something.
I mean, EA. You have to remember, EA have always got Respawn under their belt, and Respawn I like. So,
well, speaking of EA,
the segue.
Jesus,
this
is orgasmic now.
They've done a bad thing. They've made some good progress, and there's potentially some exciting things on the horizon. So the bad thing, well, arguably bad, they've hiked up the prices of pretty much all of their games, or most of them, on Steam, and only on Steam, throughout all of the world except the US. However, the prices on Origin, their own launcher, remain the same.
See, why on earth? Oh. No, I see.
It's just clicked, isn't it?
I see what they've done. They've upped the price on Steam so that the percentage that Steam get basically cover the. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've upped it probably by the amount that the percentage that Steam takes, and then that makes it worth doing, if that makes sense. Otherwise,
in some cases,
they're like, we ain't taking less money for our own games. You're having a laugh, like.
Yeah. Well, in some cases, it's a lot more than that. They've actually doubled the price of certain games, and I feel like it's more of a way to funnel people onto the Origin platform. Because if there's like a slight disparity, and you use Steam mostly, and then you see the game is like, I don't know, 5% cheaper on Origin or Epic or something than it is on Steam, you're going to go, well, I might as well have all my games in one place. I'll pay a little bit more and just keep it in the same place, which takes money away from them. So I feel like it's not only that covering the cost, but also just a way to force people onto Origin. And Origin is garbage. I don't know why anybody would use it.
It is the ugliest, most un-user-friendly platform I've ever used. Like, I've used some garbage platforms out there. There's a lot of garbage out there, but my God, that is the worst. I'm just going to use this opportunity again to say, everyone, stop complaining about all the separate platforms and just get GOG Galaxy 2.0. And then you only need one. It's great.
Wait, is that what I've got now?
The little purple ring.
Yeah.
Did you get it for The Witcher?
Yeah.
So it's CD Projekt Red's one, but if you use GOG Galaxy, you can sync up your Steam and your Origin and your Microsoft and everything, so that all your games show up on one thing.
You know what? I was going to, the other week, talk about, referring back to a previous episode when you were talking about this.
Yeah.
I completely forgot. And now you said that, and everything has just come up. It's all come together, and
it's so nice, isn't it? It's so good, man.
I haven't even tried getting rid of all my other stuff.
You can't get rid of them, but you can just stop them all from opening when you go onto your computer and stuff. So basically, the idea is. Anyway. Yeah, the idea is you turn your computer on, put GOG Galaxy on, and you can browse through all of your games through all of your platforms. And
that's what you were doing the other day when I was around your house?
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah. And it just solves this whole
life puzzle.
It just solves this whole issue of like exclusivity to stores and things like that. Like I don't even care about any of that stuff anymore. Like obviously it's really cheeky what they're doing, but at the same time, like you don't have to buy it on Steam if you want to buy it on Steam. Buy it on Steam. If you don't, buy it on Origin.
That cheeky.
It's kind of like, who cares?
Gone.
I mean, nowadays, I don't think I've been on Steam and bought a game from Steam because it's so expensive compared to any other internet browser.
Yeah, and this is probably an issue that actually goes across a lot of companies, but because EA have such a limelight of like despair on them, that everyone just wants to hate on EA. They've picked out this one particular case, but this probably happens all the time because companies have to raise the prices to make up for the fact that Steam take a ridiculous percentage of every sale. So it's like, it kind of makes sense. If I was running a company, I would do the same thing. If I've got a perfectly good launcher on Epic Game Store, for example, and Steam, I would say, right, you can have it on Steam if you guys really want it on Steam, but if you're going to be so precious about what thing you're launching it on, then they're fine. You can pay the extra money on Steam so that I don't have to take a loss out of it. I'm not going to, justify your preciousness by losing money. It doesn't make any sense, in my opinion, anyway. But
I totally get that point of view, but I also don't like that you're being forced onto a platform over which they control all of the ads. It's kind of, I don't know. It's a bit.
I know what you mean, but at the same time, Steam don't have to charge the extortionate amount of money that they do per game.
No,
so
I agree.
If anything, you should really be blaming Steam for this and not EA.
Yeah.
Because that's the reason this happens.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't think EA are bad for doing this.
No, I definitely don't. But
however, I do think GOG are good. I've always loved what they've done.
Yeah.
So I don't know who knows how they started, but they started as the first company that wanted to remove DRM from games. So DRM is like the built-in software that stops you from pirating the game and often causes you to have to be online at all times and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So when they first launched their company, they basically pirating games back in that day, especially in Poland where they're based, was a massive issue. People were basically buying pirated CDs and things so often that nobody even knew what the difference was anymore, and it was awful for the industry. And they basically said, look, it's a DRM, people don't want to have all this extra bloat on it, and they've done an amazing job. I mean, the GOG stands for good old games, and I love that.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
That's like a cup of tea and some slippers.
It sounds so bad, right? But from like a marketing perspective, I just wish they were just called GOG. I don't like the name GOG Galaxy. I just prefer good old games.
GOG is a website.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, GOG is CD Projekt Red's distribution company. They sell all sorts of like old school games. They actually have like a massive team of developers that go and get old games and
but they could have just called the launcher GOG, couldn't they?
I guess so, but they probably wanted to differentiate the products because it's not GOG. You can't buy GOG games.
And also the idea of Galaxy is GOG. It puts them all together.
I guess. Fine, whatever. Shut up.
You're entitled to your opinion then.
I have very strong opinions today, okay?
So, speaking of EA, they've also had some recent news regarding their financial earnings for quarter 3.
We're going to see a lot of these coming up.
Exactly. So it's quarter 3 was basically the holiday season of last year and the start of this year. And I'm just trying to find the article. Where's it gone? Here we go. No, that's not it. I've lost it. It's gone. It's gone.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
It's ruined. The news is ruined.
Is it the 14 games?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so, yeah. I read this news story earlier on in the week. They've said that they've got 14 games coming out this year, of which X amount are new IPs. 4, I think?
8 of them are... You might be right about the new IPs, I'm not sure. But from what I know, it's 8 major AAA games, plus a load of other games, including a couple of mobile games and some indie games and smaller studio games. But obviously the big ones that people are excited about are the 8 AAAs. They have confirmed now that 4 of them are sports titles. So basically that'll be FIFA, Madden,
NFL,
and NBL, and whatever it is. But the other 4 are not. So that's been confirmed. We know that one of them is Battlefield 6, and we know that one of them is not Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Oh man,
please,
no,
that's a Ubisoft game, actually.
That is Ubisoft.
So Battlefield 6 is confirmed. The other 3 include... I have no idea.
It could be anything.
I think it's a guessing game.
It could be new IPs. No, it hasn't been announced. No, none of them have been announced. Yeah. So all we know is the proportions. All we know is that 4 are follow-up sports games and 4 are new IPs. Not necessarily new IPs, so as in IPs or sequels of, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at it, I imagine that it's probably going to be maybe a couple of new ones, because they said that a couple are going to... Oh, no, they're AAAs, you said. 4 AAA.
AAAs.
Oh, I don't know then. Because I was going to say, I imagine a couple of them would be smaller studios, because I know they were delving into...
Assassin's Creed one?
No, that's
Assassin's
Ubisoft.
Creed is Ubisoft.
Oh, blimey.
I don't know. It could be anything. That's quite exciting, though.
It is quite exciting.
Battlefield 6, man, please, for the love of God, can they go back to Modern Warfare, please? I was saying to Dan yesterday that I feel like I missed the train with Battlefield, because I played Battlefield Bad Company 2 back on 360.
That was so good.
It was really good, yeah. But then I missed out on Battlefield 3 and 4, which were... Battlefield 3 is like renowned as being like one of the best ones, apart from 2. And then I've only played the old ones, like World War II, World War One and stuff. And Dan was saying like the Battlefield 3, the modern day one, was so good, and it's like, oh man, I feel like I missed out. So it'll be awesome if they go back to that. Like I feel like it's about time they do. I think they've sort of, just kind of overdone the World War stuff now. I mean, it was super cool, but like, that was
Battlefield in space.
Yeah, man. 360 degree
they're bringing out a VR game.
Huh?
That's a Medal of Honor game, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. The old ones.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Remastering it, which is... I think it's cool.
That is cool, yeah.
Yeah, Medal was sick back in the day.
Do you remember which one it is? Do you know which one it is?
It just says Medal of Honor.
Ah, okay. Oh, it's probably just the first one, isn't it? The one with the beach storm.
That was Front Lines?
Oh,
no, you're right. Call of Duty, the first... It might have been the second one. One of them definitely had
Call of Duty.
D-Day.
Yeah, Medal of Honor, Dan.
Oh, you know what I mean. I give up. Too many of them. They're all the same.
Anyway, any more news stories?
Yes. Sorry,
Lord.
Almost there. God, don't yawn again, Kevin, will you? You know.
Yeah, Kev,
What
Jesus.
do you mean?
I know. This is incredibly boring
What am
for
I getting
you.
thrown under the bus for this one?
Because Dan's putting all this effort and you're sitting there yawning on mic.
Hey,
Like
are
a
you
bumper
ill?
clock.
What's that got to do with being ill, Kevin?
You're
Who
not getting
yawns
me.
when they're sick?
Well, everyone, because everyone's tired.
Oh, man up.
All right.
You're lucky I'm here today. I should be in bed
Man
right now,
up.
snuggling up in a cute little bed.
What?
That was weird. Can we cut that bit out?
That was a bit weird, Kev. My cute little bed.
We're cutting this out. We're cutting this bit out.
No, we're not.
We'll put it in there.
We're definitely not cutting out.
Oh.
Cute little bed.
All right, go
Okay.
Dan, go.
So it's worth highlighting as well that part of that the financial report had nothing to do with the announcements. The financial report was basically saying that in the last quarter, in quarter 3, they made almost £1 billion in microtransactions or in live services. So that's everything from battle passes to Apex Legends in-app stuff.
That's mad, man.
But the majority of that, probably something like 80 to 90% of that, will be FIFA Ultimate Team, of course.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because it raises the question of, would we be getting the same quantity and the same quality of games out of this studio if the Ultimate Team wasn't funding them to be able to do that?
True.
If that's making up something like 80% of their entire profit, then...
Have you seen how much they make from Ultimate Team?
Well,
We literally just said,
about...
Kev.
Oh.
That's literally what this conversation is about.
I was concentrating on something else. I missed out literally that little bit.
Itching his ear, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with them doing... Again, I have problem with gambling in general because of people with gambling problems and stuff, but I've said it before, if they put the restrictions on, I don't care. Like, if people want to spend money on games, let them spend money on games. I'll spend money on games, who cares? Just put a restriction on so that you can't spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds in one day. That's the issue.
Yeah. But then they wouldn't have quite as much money, but they still probably make
No, they'll still make bank, man. Who cares?
Exactly. Speaking of which, 2 lawyers from Paris are filing a lawsuit on behalf of players who claim that the only way to win at the game's Ultimate Team mode is to spend money on packs of players that are generated completely randomly. So France are basically trying to, not France, not the whole of France. It's not going to be like France against EA in court. Yeah. But some lawyers are basically representing some people. Sounds like quite a few people. This one person, Mamadou, he is telling this respected sports paper that he's spent $600 since the game's release, searching for the best player or one of the best players, he hasn't got him at all. And other people have spent $2,000, $3,000 just trying to get this one player or card or whatever it is, and just can't get it.
Well, how about
they're saying that it's
don't
dangerous?
They just don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I read about this. You're saying about like the player that he ended up getting, and it's a very stereotypical thing that everyone says about FIFA. Is that you can spend God knows how much money you want, and you might never get a good player, but you could spend no money at all. You can buy you get one pack for free, and you can get the best player in the game. It's literally gambling.
Yeah,
well,
I don't get this argument. It's like walking into a bloody casino, going, "I'm going to put £600 on 50 on the roulette." Yeah, just the number 50, and then it doesn't land on 50, and you're like, well. I'm going to take you guys to court because I didn't win.
So it's interesting that you say that, because that's what he's saying is he's filing for the lawsuit to highlight or at least force EA to admit that it is an unregulated gambling service.
Yeah.
He's not saying I want my money back and this is unfair. He's fully aware that he put money in and there was, there were risks involved and, the odds were stacked against him and he didn't get what he wanted. And then obviously he spent all this money and he's gone, oh, damn, that's a lot of money. Hold on a minute, this is exactly like a casino. And the fact that that's not advertised and it's not regulated in the same way as a casino, that's what they're saying. Dan, this is basically a digital casino in your home.
I'm very upset with you because you purposely left that bit of information out so that me and Kevin would act like fools, like we've done.
Not at all. No, you made a very good point. And it highlighted the bit of the article that I hadn't actually read yet.
Marmaduke, whatever your name is, I'm on board. Good job, because that is 100%. I don't know. This is Mama something. I don't know what it was.
They won't win.
They won't listen to this podcast.
You've got far too much money.
Yeah. They ain't winning against EA. No. They've got like a team of like 1,000 lawyers just ready. But it's I don't know. Then again, though, it's one of those things where it's like a lot of people agree. A lot of people do agree that this is unregulated gambling. So like,
yeah.
I mean, Belgium have literally banned Ultimate Team.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, Belgium have done it.
It's not. He could easily win, and if he's not, especially if he's not doing it for any personal reason whatsoever, because he's not after money for himself. All he's after is EA. I don't know that, to be fair, but all he's after is EA just admitting that it's unregulated gambling and then putting the correct things in place. Like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
Well, why is that an issue? Like, I don't see him not winning at all, to be honest. Like, any sane lawyer would be like, wait, you spent £600 on surprise mechanics. Yeah, it's insane that they've got away with it for this long, to be honest.
The only thing though is I think a lot of people in terms of that play Ultimate Team, they will find a problem if this whole gambling, all this gambling does backfire on EA. Is that Ultimate Team has its own inside market, and it is based on people packing these cards and putting these cards on the market and generating a market. If people can't buy these packs and get these players, there's nothing to put on the market. There's no.
Well, I mean,
good.
Yeah, but Kev, I think you're kind of missing a point there. If there's no packs, then there's no Ultimate Team.
Yeah,
it doesn't like the market will cease to exist because the mode won't exist. The whole mode revolves around that.
But people mainly play Ultimate Team. People love Ultimate Team. That's the reason people buy FIFA.
Yeah, but
because of Ultimate Team. And as soon as they get rid of this whole market system and Ultimate Team, people won't buy FIFA anymore.
Well, yeah,
But then,
whose side are you on? I'm confused.
No, I'm just saying in terms of the FIFA community don't like the packs, and you know what the part I think they don't like is the unknown part of the packs. So they don't tell you the percentage, the chance that you're going to get a certain player. They don't tell you this kind of stuff.
Yeah, which in some places is illegal.
Yeah,
in some places
I think occasionally
they have to say what the percentage chance of getting each thing is, which is isn't that why it happened with Counter-Strike in the end? Where Counter-Strike they had to tell you not Counter-Strike is in like the loot box websites that used to go on, and it now has to show you the percentage chance of getting each item.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so like I said, it's insane that they've got away with it for this long, but at the same time, it's kind of like, why don't you just make FIFA with Ultimate Team, but make Ultimate Team all in-game packs, if that makes sense? So it's not a money system. Obviously, they'll never do this. It's not a money system, but it's a play and reward system. Like games always used to be, you know? You play more, you get more rewards out of it. You get more rewards out of it, you get better things. Like, why can't they just do that instead of making it fundamentally based off of money?
There's a really easy answer to that, Ben.
Money.
And that would be that £1 billion number that we heard
would
earlier.
Be 100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. 100,000,
I mean,
100 million,
I think,
sorry.
I don't think they need to get rid of it. I think microtransactions and live service games and whatnot it's okay. I mean, yes, it's a shame that it's not like it used to be, but games are getting bigger and budgets need to be bigger, and these companies do need more money to develop
That's
high
a fair
quality
point. Yeah.
products that we want. I just think they need to do it kind of like Legends of Runeterra are doing it. You know, put a limit on how much people can spend, tell them what the odds are, give them a bit more flexibility. Yes, they probably won't make quite as much, but I think it will work in their favour to have the community on their side.
They won't make nearly as much. You know, there's a YouTuber who has said every single year about how much he spent on FIFA, and I'm pretty sure last year he said it was about 40k.
He's an idiot then. He's a fucking
Well,
moron.
I mean, he actually makes more money off of spending this kind of money because what he produces from that in terms of YouTube.
Yeah, it's a bit of a deceiving video, isn't it? When you go, look, I've spent 40k on it, and it's like, well, yeah, but you get like a few hundred thousand.
You mean your
views
YouTube enterprise has invested this much money into it?
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Make a return.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. But in that case, I mean,
I agree. They won't make as much
person
money, but what's more important, money or respect? And I think genuinely, respect is a lot more important in the video game industry. It's one of the only industries where it matters to have the respect of your audience. Like you look at, review
0.5.
bombing, and you look at all this stuff, and you just think, and then you look at CD Projekt Red. You look at them, and they will make a absolute killing. They can delay a game. They can do whatever the fuck they want. Right? Because everyone has 100% faith in them. Like, no one is even remotely questioning their intentions or anything, right? You get the odd person that's like, well, apparently there's gonna be DLC, and I'm just like, well, okay, but, like, but, they're a company that have built the trust over the years, and it's paying off, And granted, they might not make as much money as EA, but EA already have a lot of money and a lot of IPs, and they would make a lot of money still, just wouldn't be as much. Like, they say, yes, we made 1 billion from in-game whatever, but we don't know how much they made from actual games. If they made 5 billion from games, then I think they'll be alright.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I don't know. Anyway, any more news, Daniel?
Last little thing then. We talked about EA. Let's talk about their distant cousins, Ubisoft.
Hey, my boys.
They've got a little bit of news as well. Just trying to find it. Here we go. So
is it another financial report?
It's related to, yeah.
I told you.
It's that time of year.
Yep.
It is that time of year. So... This isn't about numbers or figures or anything, but basically they've confirmed that they have 5 AAA games coming before April 2021. So in the next year or so, they're going to have 5 games.
Yeah,
but as I said earlier, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is not one of them, which will upset a lot of people. I've never played it.
I don't think that's ever coming out, to be honest. That it reminds me of Star Citizen at this point. It's just... It's
apparently
there,
it's in development,
but it's not there. You know, they're just going to show a trailer every 3 E3s and then just just leave it at that. Like 20 years later, it's mad. But, I mean, we already knew that they had 4 coming out anyway because they all got delayed.
We know they all got delayed, exactly. So Watch Dogs Legion got delayed, Rainbow Six Quarantine got delayed, Gods and Monsters, which looks really interesting actually, got delayed. And
then the 4th one's on Assassin's Creed, presumably.
Yes, that's basically been confirmed.
Yeah.
It hasn't been confirmed, but we know that it's going to be a Viking-based game from the sounds of it.
Yeah, and all the rumours are that Thor, fucking hell. Assassin's Creed, the next Assassin's Creed is based on Norse mythology, so.
Oh, I mean, that could be
Norse
quite
mythology,
cool.
yeah. It could be. God of War has just done it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
What I like about this one, though, is that the reason that they have delayed is they've basically done the complete opposite thing to what Blizzard have done. So they've said that because of Ghost Recon Breakpoint, this microtransaction shitfest, and Division 2,
Game of the Year 2019.
To a lesser extent, was also pretty bad. They did feel the impact on their financial results. And they basically said, quote, "We want our teams to have more development time to ensure their respective innovations are perfectly implemented so as to deliver the optimal experiences for players." So they basically, like most studios do, push the game back so we have a bit more time. But they're saying, look, we admit that we messed up, we have felt the impact, and we're going to do better this time. We spoke about this in one of our earlier episodes. Yeah. But that's basically what we're doing. And in the next year or so, we should start to see the fruits of some of that labour, which I think is pretty exciting.
It is. And I've always loved the bones of a Ubisoft game, if that makes sense. Like, I've always loved what it is underneath the surface, but the surface is just a bit wrinkly and looks a bit...
that was brilliant.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. So, yeah, good stuff.
Awesome.
That's what
You're done. Dan, you've outdone yourself. 1 hour and 15 odd minutes.
Well, there's a lot to talk about this time of year. So
always, and I love it. It's my favourite bit of the podcast, so we can talk about it for hours, I don't care.
Awesome.
Right.
Good to know.
So let's move on to what we have been playing. Who started last time? I don't know. I'm going to start. I have been playing a little game called, which Adam, our lovely Moonlight guest last week, introduced. Not on the Moonlight episode, on the normal episode. He introduced a game called Cultist Simulator. And
yay.
Yeah, and I randomly thought, I was like, I wonder if it's on mobile. It turns out it is. So I've got it on my mobile and my iPad. And
the first mobile game.
I know, yeah. I know it's weird talking about a mobile game, but I mean it's a PC game as well. But yeah, it is basically. Oh God, I can see how Adam felt now. It's really hard to explain.
Well, you don't really have to. I mean, it was in the last episode, which you can just go back and listen, and you'll know what it's about. So Ben, talk about what the game. Don't talk about what it is, because they can go back to the last episode and listen to Adam's description.
Maybe give a short
invited
summary.
Kevin?
Hey, I'm plugging our last episode, man. Come on.
Okay. Basically, it's a game. Oh, Adam's going to kill me. Set in like H.P. Lovecraft thing with and the goal is to gain eldritch knowledge, which is. Okay, basically, you start off as one of like 4 or 5 different characters with different traits. So, like, you either start off as a wealthy person with loads of money. You can start off as a doctor and you work in a hospital. You can start off as a detective, or you can start off as a poor person. Those are the 4 that I've found so far. There might be more, I don't know. And essentially, you're basically living out your life through cards and building a cult, which is kind of the where the name comes in, Cult Simulator. And what you do is you get cards and you use them in different situations. So the easiest way to explain it is you have imagine 10 cards in a row, and one is study, one is explore, one is work, one is dream, one is I don't know, and whatever else there is, yeah. And then you have all of your item cards below it, and then you can use those on particular ones above it. So you can dream about Kevin.
Oh.
For example, if Kevin was a card, you could dream about Kevin. You could talk. That's one of the action cards. You could talk to Kevin. You could work for Kevin. You could
I like that one.
Visit Kevin. You could send Kevin to visit somewhere else, or
I don't know that one.
And yeah, that's basically how it works. But I think the thing that was missed a little bit when Adam was explaining it is that the narrative is really interesting. So the way it works is that you can speed up time. You can do it in seconds. You can double time, or you can pause it. And the pause button is an absolute godsend because it basically means you can read through the narrative of what's happening. And it's kind of it feels more like a choose your own adventure book, if that makes sense. So it starts off and says, you are blah blah, and it's from a first person perspective, so it's more like the room is dark and everyone is sad and I need money, and then you're like, okay, cool, and then you'd say, okay, I'm going to go to work for Kevin, and then it would explain that what's happening there, and then it might give clues as to other stuff that's going on in that thing. So it might say, oh, the boss is acting really weird, and then you'll get a boss card, and then you might think to talk to the boss and things like that. So it's like a choose your own adventure book, and it's really hard as well.
Is this the one where it's set on a board?
Yeah.
And I don't know if I misheard or I've misinterpreted this, but do you have different scenarios going on at the same time? Or is it simply you're in one place at one time? Or is it a case of you're studying, but then you haven't got a card that really fits that, so you go to a different scenario that a card would fit, and then later on you might get a card that would fit the studying.
No, so you can you do loads of stuff at the same time. Basically, it's more like scheduling a day. I think that is probably more apt. So it's not in time order or anything. It's like, right, so today I'm going to work, I'm studying this book, I'm talking to Kevin, and I'm exploring a hotel. Yeah. So those are all the four things you're doing, and I guess the time order is the time that it takes for that action to happen. So working takes 60 seconds, for example. So when that's finished, that's the action that finishes first, and then. But I mean, it's not really important to the narrative that much, to be honest. The thing is, it's only important if you get a card, in a certain order. But that's just getting too complicated. I'm not even gonna try and explain that. But it's really interesting, and I love it in a weird kind of way. It does not hold your hand at all. Don't look up any tutorials if anyone's going to play it. Do not look up any tutorials, because I got really tempted to look them up because I just kept dying, and I was like, I don't know how to fix this.
How much was it?
£6, I think.
I might actually pick it up on my phone.
Give it a whirl. Yeah. It's really, really interesting, but I would recommend that you read what's happening when you're doing stuff, because that makes it a lot more interesting. If it wasn't for that, it would just be a card game with like barely any logic to it, if that makes sense, because it's not. Yeah. So it's really good. I'd highly recommend it at the minute. And it's great. I love the fact that I'm playing a mobile game now, because I can play it on the tube or wherever, and it's quite a nice hop in for 20 minutes, hop out game. So yes, I've been playing that, and I've also been playing Call of Duty, but the only reason I'm bringing this up again is because I started the campaign, and the campaign I think is very interesting. It's really dark.
Yeah, I was going to say me too. I've also.
Oh, have you? Oh, nice. Yeah. It's really dreary, but in the right kind of way. It sets the right tone for the type of game it is, I think. And it was interesting playing it because I wanted to play it after Charlotte's question last week about making violence fun and stuff like that. The campaign doesn't like at all. I wouldn't even say the campaign's fun. It's just like a narrative driven thing, and like all the movement is slower paced, so you're sort of walking around more. And yeah, and I would say that if you are playing the campaign, play it on a harder difficulty, because then you probably won't run into the issues that Kevin ran into, where he kept sprinting around and dying to things, to scripted events.
Surely, what? Because you wouldn't run ahead.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Yeah, you have to play tactically, sort of thing. So I'm playing it on the two harder, whatever that one is, battle hardened, whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called, but
I would argue that it's not, that it is fun to a degree, though. I think what it does really well is balances the shooting gallery sections where you are just popping enemies and, you know, throwing grenades and big action sequences like, you know, an action movie or whatever. I think it does have those moments, but it's quite nicely paced so that you'll have this kind of big exhilarating adrenaline rush moment, and then you'll have kind of a sobering kind of snap back to reality of what you're actually playing through, like the world and whatnot.
Yeah, but there are a few scenes in it which are horrible to look at.
There are some heartbreaking moments, truly.
And it's perfect. Yeah. Like, it sounds awful saying it, but it's perfect, because that's the exact thing that we had a problem with last week when we were talking about the multiplayer, and it tackles all of them. Like, it's horrible, some of the scenes. Like, I don't know if have you got to the desert level yet, Dan?
I think I'm a fair bit further than you.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, you know the bit with the crane, when you're walking through like the town square in the desert one, when you're walking with the woman, and then there's the crane.
Yeah.
And it lifts up.
Crane.
Like a little crane in the middle of the square.
Oh, yeah.
That was horrible, man.
It gets so much worse.
Oh, really?
That, dude.
Oh, God.
Yeah, there's a sequence that had my heart like racing, and it's almost tear jerking, but at the same time you're playing through it, so it's not like watching a really sad movie. It's like, oh my God, I'm in a horrible situation right now, and it feels so real, and I feel so helpless, and really sobering. Like, I keep using that word, but it really is. It's just, I don't want to spoil it for you because you haven't got there yet, but you go back quite a significant amount in time to like the childhood of one of the characters in it, and watching it all play out from the first person perspective as a child, oh mate, it's rough. It's really rough.
That sounds horrible. But I mean,
but it's important. It's so important to have that sort of thing in these games. Like we were saying last week, you know, it's relevant to what's going on.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like it's the first game to really try and tackle it. Apart from that one that I didn't play, that was really popular.
Spec Ops.
Yes. Apart from that I've heard tackles similar sorts of things. I don't know of any other game that's even attempted it. Really, on a personal level, if that makes sense. It might show it on like a grand scheme, you know, like, look there's a nuke. See, nukes are bad, but nothing like through the eyes of a child, or you know, seeing the individual little scenarios. Like, I think you mentioned it when Kevin was playing the campaign. Seeing those little scenarios play out is the really the not horrible, but the sobering thing, I guess. Yeah, it's
It just shows you the reality of what actually happens. And it's interesting that the game is made by an American studio, and you would expect there to be a lot of pro-army propaganda in it. And all it's really done, from what I can tell at least, and I'm not a war expert or a national politic expert at all, it seems to have taken a lot of the things that the West is doing in the Middle East, and it's basically replaced like the Western occupations with like Russian occupations. It's just moved. It's made some place names up. It's made some characters up. It's made some terrorist groups up. But a lot of it feels very relevant to what's happened in the last few years or so in real places. And I like that it's doing that. I like that it's not trying to beat around the bush. And oh god, man, there's some absolutely horrific sequences in it. And it's not gory. It's not shock factor per se. It's just
real sort of harrowing gravity to the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And
I can't wait for you to get to some of the later sequences. Like, there's a bit in the game that I won't spoil at all, but you're basically trapped in a really horrible situation and you can't move. You're like pinned down, and all this stuff's happening around you, and you can't really see much, but you can hear it all going on, and you're laying there. What you're supposed to do is turn your camera around and break out. There's like a quick time thing, or not a quick time thing, like an interact button that you can find, but I didn't notice that, so I just laid there I was laying there for a good like 5 real minutes, just like staring into the eyes of a corpse next to me, and I thought that was what I was supposed to do, just wait. And I was just waiting in this situation, and it was horrible because I could see these dead eyes looking back at me. And obviously, we know the graphics are pretty.
Yeah, the facial animations in that game are redonkulous, like absolutely insane. Yeah,
and I could just see these like dead eyes looking back at me, and I was looking around, and I could hear people running around above me, and I was just trapped, and it was awful. And then it just makes you think about all the people that have gone through that, and people need to see that. I think people that buy games, this opinion that video games make people violent and glorify war and glamorize it. This does not do any glamorization at all.
Not at all.
No. It has the arcade shooter things, but it's not glamorous in any way, shape, or form.
No.
And I like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
I don't like it, obviously, but
bloody good Call of Duty campaign.
Yeah.
It's just done. I mean, not only does the game feel nice, the gameplay itself, but just
he did it. He said it, guys.
The shooting feels good.
But the story and how it just hits you in places that are you wouldn't really expect in games nowadays, because it doesn't really hold back.
Yeah,
and every level is different.
Yeah,
you most of the levels you do have your like general sneaky type way, but for the most part, every episode. Oh my god, episode! Get out of my head.
Episode works. Episode, fine.
Yeah, is so different, and it does take me back to. I mean, Call of Duty 4 is probably the most known campaign because of how good it was, but I haven't played a Call of Duty campaign since Call of Duty 4 that properly sticks out in my head, other than this one. Not that I've completed this one yet, but from what I've played of it so far, it's
the bar. And like you were saying, the like it hits you. You were saying it hits you like not a lot of other games do, and I think the difference is with this is that it hits you with such a blunt force. Like it's not arty-farty. It's not like all these secret meanings and really romantic scenes and all this fancy Gris / Celeste / I don't know, To the Moon, whatever. All that sort of like really like, oh, this is so sad, it's so cute sort of thing. Like nothing like that. It's just the complete opposite. It's just the complete opposite, but it still hits the same chord. So it's like, yeah, it's pretty. I think
for me, one of the most interesting elements of the overarching story is that it's not just the good guys like the US Army against the bad guys, the terrorists. It's based on a war between two countries, like a political war.
Yeah.
And the terrorists or the freedom fighters are actually a faction that you play as. So you see things from their perspective, and you kind of. It still has the antagonists and the bad guys and the evildoers, but there are moments later on in the game where you actually encounter them face to face, and you really start to feel the humanity in all of these characters and the reasons why they're doing these things and why they're fighting for their country. And it has its way of forcing you to empathize with all of the people involved, the civilians and the people on different sides of the war and why they're doing what they do and the propaganda that they've been fed and the beliefs that they have. And it's powerful. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Kind of sad none of us played it last year, because I wonder whether it would have got now top games.
I did say that, and for me, that and Sekiro probably would have beaten Goose Game and Borderlands 3, I think, if I had played more of it.
Yeah.
And then the other end of the spectrum with Call of Duty, the backside of it, the beautiful tushy of Call of Duty. So me and Dan decided to have a go at Ground War yesterday, and my God,
Kevin joined us as well for a bit.
I did join you, but apparently I'm forgotten that easily. So
well, yesterday? No, I didn't.
Not yesterday, but we played it the other day.
Yeah, but I'm talking about yesterday.
Oh.
Listen, who invited Kevin? The Ground War. Sorry, yes, I'm back in the room. Me and Dan were playing it, and Kevin apparently was playing it with us yesterday as well. And we
I wasn't even invited, so.
Yes, we I mean, I love it. I think it's brilliant, and it adds such like an interesting, like, it's just so fun. I can't explain. Like, so me and Dan, okay, so there's this little event that happened where basically we ran around to the enemy spawn, like all the way around the map, and then killed someone trying to get into a helicopter, stole their helicopter, flew up on top of like a massive tower block where like loads of enemies were like sniping, and then Dan just sat on the side of the helicopter and just like chugged them all down with a machine gun. It was just the best series of events I've done in Call of Duty in such a long time, and there's just those little things. It kind of reminds you of battle royale games where you're like, you have stories about battle royale games, and it kind of feels like that. Like I couldn't tell you any particular situation in any standard Call of Duty game that I've done, or I've seen. It's only in this sort of circumstance that you sort of be like, right, we're going to take this building, right, we're going to hold this building, we're going to try and kill those flankers, we're going to steal a helicopter and do this, and loads of things like the same sort of wavelength as like battle royale games, and I just think it's brilliant. I hated it at first about Ground War, but like,
yeah, I was going to say, I honestly, you every time you talk about a game outside of the podcast, you're so angry and you hate it. It was the same with Dark Souls. There was so much hatred to that game. When you came to the podcast, I think it's when you take your mind away from actually playing it and you think about it a bit, then you kind of you have a bit of a broader mindset for it, and you start enjoying it a bit
the
more.
word you're looking for, Kevin, is temper. I have a bit of a temper while I'm playing the game, so that's why. But yeah. Anyway, that's Call of Duty again.
I love that Battlefield's actual like marketing slogan for a long time was like only in Battlefield.
Yeah.
Like these moments that you could only experience on the big open world maps of Battlefield, and it's nice that you can do that. Yeah, it's nice that you can do that in Call of Duty now. It's not quite as refined.
No,
but
definitely not. But it's. I mean, but then again, Battlefield is still glitchy as hell in lots of places, and yeah. All right, cool. Anything else, guys? Kevin, just go, Kevin.
Yeah.
Do you want my take on Call of Duty right now?
Is it different from ours?
It's a little bit different.
Oh god. Go on.
Mainly for the fact that I feel I waste a lot of time on that game doing nothing.
Oh, what? Getting kicked out of games and stuff?
The amount of times I have, like a 2-hour slot to play a game, and then I feel I've only actually played about 20 minutes of it, because I'm either getting kicked out of games, I'm waiting forever to try and join lobbies because you can't join lobbies.
Yeah,
I end up joining a game on someone else's team. I join someone at, like we all join a game together, and I'm in a completely different bloody game, and I'm just a bit.
It only seems to be a big problem with Ground War. It's just like they just can't handle that many people. But I don't know. I mean, it's got a few issues like that, but then once you're actually in the game, it's good. It's just annoying when you're limited for time, I suppose. Yeah.
The only fun I've had so far on Call of Duty is playing that 3v3.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Everything else I played it has been a bit naff.
I missed that.
No, you got to play some more Ground War with us, man. Get in the tactical mindset. You got to get yourself a mic.
Get online, you guys will disappear.
It's because you get on late. Anyway, we're digressing here. Kevin, have you played anything else?
So I played that game you told me to play earlier on.
Good.
It is called. What is it called, Ben?
Scourgebringer.
That one, yeah.
How was it?
To describe this game, I want to put an overview of it. In Risk of Rain 2,
I've heard of it.
the samurai guy with the sword.
Yes.
You basically play him. He's your character.
Okay.
You have a sword. You have a dash, 2 dashes, which he has in it. So that's the kind of person you're playing as. And in it kind of relates to 2 other games. Hollow Knights, it's that type of game. It's going to a room, kill everything in the room, progress to a different room.
That's not what Hollow Knight. No, that is what Hollow Knight
Okay.
is. No, tell a lie. Yeah, right. Yeah.
That and Binding of Isaac, which is the other one it relates to, is that you can see the rooms that you've got to go into and what ones you haven't gone into.
Mm.
There's like a little map in the corner. I don't know if I didn't get that far in Hollow Knight, so I don't know if you can do that. And it's. I mean, I've only played about maybe 20 minutes of it, but as I'm playing it right now, it is a very fun game.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
I quite enjoy it.
It looks really good, and like you said, it's got that. It's got the roguelike feel of like Binding of Isaac sort of thing. But the movement is really similar to Celeste. You haven't played Celeste, but like that sort of like dash in the air movement stuff and grabbing onto walls and bouncing off and that sort of stuff looks like very Celeste-y. So, but it looks quite interesting, and I thought it because I know how much you liked Risk of Rain, and then I heard this one was a roguelike. I was like, this is probably up Kevin Street. So,
fair play. And there is a few things I'm kind of I want to understand better. Is when you die, you get sent to a little like hub room, and I'm guessing if you progress so far, you get a level up point, or you kill a certain amount of people, you get a level up point. I don't really know how that leveling system works, but it has a skill tree. And so far, I've only put 1 point in one thing because that was the only option I had. But the skill tree looks pretty. It looks big, but not too big. So it feels like you have a lot of options, but you're not going to be too overwhelmed. And I'm kind of intrigued as to what the more there is in terms of the skills and what you can unlock and whether or not things combo. It's also, I think it's similar in terms of Binding of Isaac, that every level you restart, you can pick up drops that affect your game, your playthrough.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it does anyway. And yeah, I think it's almost it's like a very mix of a few games put together that I mean so far when I'm playing it, I think it's pretty good. Cool. I don't know what the end result of it is. I don't know if you because it's a very it's set in a futuristic time. So it's got robots and well, it's just robots basically, like weird little kind of alien-y things as well. But they talk in really like Shakespearean type way.
Sorry, what?
Shakespearean robots.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, so they they use the word like thou and.
I quite like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Episode title.
Yeah, so that's my 2 games I basically played.
Nice.
Yeah, that sounds quite cool. I wanted to give it a go, but I'm not the biggest fan of roguelikes, to be honest. I don't know why, but I like completing games, and the idea of a game not ever finishing just upsets me.
Yeah, I think that would be the only thing that would stop me after a while, because I'd be like, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
I've got no end goal. It's kind of like the Risk of Rain, how I think I got a little bit bored of that.
Yeah,
I thought
exactly.
to myself, it's not actually really an end goal now.
Yeah.
You kind of you're grinding towards infinity. So.
Yeah, agreed. All right, Kev, that's you, Kev. Don't worry. Is there anything
I'll
else?
go again if you want. No, I haven't.
All right, Danny boy.
I've played one other game,
Yes.
which is also a roguelike, but with a bit of a twist. It's on Steam at the moment in early access, and it's called
Something Shard.
Yeah, Stone Shard.
There you go.
Stone Shard. It's one of the more unique concepts that I've seen. It's a pixel art, clearly very early access. It's got a couple of weird like UI issues and stuff. You can tell it's not quite finished, but it's massively ambitious. It's a pixel art, top-down turn-based old school RPG in the vein of something like
RuneScape.
No, not at all.
It looks like RuneScape.
It's a tile system, so the entire map is a tile system. So when you click around, your character bobs between tiles, and although it's turn-based, the turns kind of happen in live time. So you can click at any point in the game, and your character will run over there. And if you're 10 squares away, it takes 10 turns. And you can see the characters, all the other like NPCs in the game will always move around when you move, and if you stop moving, everything else stops moving. So the pacing of it's quite interesting. But the game opens up and you're in a prison cell, being kept in the cell by like a vampire. So it's got that kind of old gothic, traditional RPG type sense to it. And it's very much a click and point. So a vampire runs off, you break open the shackles, start looting stuff, break out of the cell, and then off you go. And the two major features of this game that I think make it particularly interesting are the inventory management system, which is a proper old school management system with like tiles. We have a very limited space and you have to like shift things around and rotate them and squeeze things in.
Like Resident Evil 4.
Exactly like Resident Evil, yeah. And the other system is the injury and sort of the health system in the game. So it's got these very, very deep survival mechanics. So you have hunger, you have thirst, you have like a massive range of status effects like confusion and intoxication and all this kind of stuff. And then each part of your body can be injured, which you then have to like tourniquet and bandage up and all this kind of stuff. It's all very well voice acted, and there seems to be some kind of narrative as you progress through. So you pick up bits of paper, and the world kind of unravels to you what's happened there and why you're there. And it's, as I say, it's massively ambitious. It's got a lot of depth to it. It's got everything that you would expect from a very traditional RPG, with massive amounts of skill trees, like crazy amounts of skill trees. And it's also, on top of this really deep character developing RPG, it's also a roguelike. So rather than starting right back at the beginning of your run, each like level or stage in the game is kind of the same thing. You start at the beginning of the level and everything's randomized each time. So it's kind of half roguelike, half more long-term RPG.
Yeah, so it's more like that each level is procedurally generated, if that makes sense, as opposed to roguelike, which is more the whole game starts again.
Yeah, but I think the roguelike elements come from, because it's so randomized each run, and the stuff that you find on each run becomes integral to the way that you play through that level.
Oh, right.
It's kind of like... Oh, the other thing I should mention is it is rock hard. It's one of the most difficult games I've played for a long time. It's so challenging.
Yeah, I mean, the health system sort of hints towards that, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it really does make you think about how you're going to use things and how you're going to manage your health and your thirst and all the survival parts of it, as well as how you're going to approach all these different encounters. And it's just nice because it's like one of those RPGs where everything that you feel like you should be able to do, you can do. Like, you can loot things. If there's a door and you happen to have a crowbar, you can crow it open. You know, if you got lockpicks, you can lockpick. If you haven't got any of that stuff and the door is locked, you can attempt to just like start kicking it and hitting it with your sword and try and break it down.
Oh, that's cool.
You can inspect enemies, and the amount of like stats and numbers in this game, for me, perfect. Like, all the different resistances and weaknesses and the interactions between everything and cursed items and like thousands of different stat combinations and stuff feels very daunting, but the new player experience is great. So you'll pick it up very quickly, and just there's so much depth to it. I'm really surprised how much there is to this game and how addictive it is. Frankly, you just want to keep pushing through and keep trying. I love it, and the voice acting's amazing too. Like, it's actually really nicely voice acted, so you get a good sense of the characters and the creatures and all this kind of stuff.
It sounds really interesting, and the style looks really cool as well. I could, again, I hate being that guy. I hate being the guy that says it, but it would be really good on Switch.
Yeah,
like
it would. It genuinely would. The only thing I would say about that is I feel like with the amount of
stuff on screen,
information and stuff to do, playing it without a mouse, I have no idea how that would work. You might be able to find a way.
Well, if it's all block style, you could just...
Moving around will be fine, but in terms of like inventory management and all the different stats and skill trees, I feel like it would just take
the
so
fiddly
long
trying to move your inventory around would be a nightmare, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you can do it. Obviously, Resident Evil's done it on consoles for years.
Yeah,
it's
but
not impossible.
Resident Evil 4, you got a few herbs and a few guns. It's not... it's got
I
smaller
hope
scale.
it comes to Switch. If you're into like classic RPGs and you're into
Adam.
harder games, Adam would love this. I've heard it's been compared to Darkest Dungeon quite a lot, and I know he likes that game.
Yeah.
So if you're into that sort of thing, and sort of narrative-driven, darker RPGs, challenging games like Dark Souls, maybe, it's really hard to find
A niche.
It reminds me of some of the much older games, like the old Vampire the Masquerade games, and potentially even elements of like old Baldur's Gate games. It's interesting, and I know that later on in the game there's a massive arc towards a caravan development system. So on top of exploring dungeons and stuff, you're actually managing like a trading caravan, which can be like invaded, and you travel through the world and come across different scenarios and encounters.
That's really cool.
I'm really excited to keep playing this. It's the first time I've picked up a game for a while and been like, I could see myself getting really into it. And it's early access, and it's like half price right now. It's like a tenner. So highly recommend this one to anybody that's into that kind of game. If you don't like a challenge,
emphasis on that if you're into that type of game. It might sound like fun, but it's kind of like me with Rust, Like, I could say to someone, oh, you should play Rust, it's so good. And then they'll pick it up and just be like, what, so you mean you put, like, 50 hours into building a base and then someone just, like, takes it while you're asleep? And it's like, yeah. So it's a particular niche, I think, but there are definitely people out there this is good for.
Yeah, massively deep RPGs, crossed with roguelike, crossed with trading mechanics.
God, it sounds like Adam's wet dream.
Interesting fantasy. Adam, if you're listening to this, highly recommend Stone Shard. Really, really good.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else?
Nope.
Awesome. Let's move on to feedback. Mr. Kevin, have we got any feedback?
So we have, as Ben called it, the Charizard snack up question.
Oh, is that what I called it? I meant to say backup question.
Oh!
I wondered what you meant.
Backup question. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ben's.
Well, now hold on. Now that I've said it, we're gonna have to do both because I've said that there was an original question.
You know what? Yeah, that gives me a chance to put my.
Oh yeah, go on then. Yeah.
So yeah, Ben's lovely wife has given us two questions. The first being, what book would you make into a game, not ones that have already been made, that you know of, obviously? Now, both of these guys can't think of anything.
Hold on, I never said that. I was bang up for this question. It was Dan that was like, I hate this question. Wasn't it Dan?
My one is Captain Underpants.
Oh.
What do you mean, oh?
That's so good.
No,
isn't it?
That's a terrible idea.
That's such a good idea. I think there must have been a Captain Underpants game, actually.
Oh my God. Yeah, you had the game in the book where you flicked the page to make it look like the robot was punching something. That's a terrible shout, Kevin, but thank you.
What do you mean? It could be made into such a good game. Make it into a Lego game. There you go. It's a bit weird, like most kids looking at the guy in his underwear, but
yes, that is it. Yeah. All right, I've got 3. So, a pixel art version of Norwegian Woods by God, what's his name? Haruki Murakami. Yeah. It is a book about depression and suicide and lots of really, really horrible things, but it's a really beautiful book, and I think that it would make a great little like a little musical visual art piece sort of thing.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And then the next one is the first 3 Horus Heresy Warhammer books. I don't know how many times I've mentioned them on this pod, but the story of Horus Heresy, the first 3 of them anyway, is amazing. And if they did like a narrative-based, mad, like insane, massive scale style, like Gears of War type thing for the first 3 Horus Heresy books, it would be incredible. And there's like a proper little team in that one as well. So it would feel very much like Gears of War, actually, I imagine, in my head. But, yeah, and that's it, pretty much.
Fair play.
Yeah.
That was 2.
Oh, the other one was it's just another horror game. The Shining, like a decent horror game of The Shining would be really cool.
That's actually quite good.
Yeah. But, like, you as the character losing your mind would be pretty cool. But
Well, yeah, but the Happy Pickle will have a bit of an issue with that one.
Where is the Happy Pickler? What the hell?
Oh,
is she playing at?
She's gone. Maybe she's just so upset about I've changed that she's just given up.
I'm sorry.
It's too late now. She can't hear you. She's not.
Come back. And a snack up question.
The snack up question.
Hey, you skipped me.
Oh, sorry, Dan. Have you actually got one? You told me that you hated the question and you don't read.
Yeah. No, I've got one. Right. The reason I'm so upset about this question is because I think that my idea is so good that if I say it on the podcast, somebody's going to steal it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
all right, go on. Then.
Make it yourself.
I'm ready.
The hungry caterpillar.
It's
basically like, yeah, but instead of getting longer, you get fatter until you fill the screen up.
It's just one colour. There's just like it just says GG in the middle, and that's it.
No, you turn into a butterfly.
Yeah, and then you fly around, and then when you eat enough stuff as a butterfly, you turn into a dragon. Yeah.
That's how it works. A life cycle
of life.
He's evolving.
Good shout, Dan. That's the best one out of all of them.
So the stack up question is: if you could live the life of a game character as the narrative of that game.
Can you even read, Kevin? Jesus.
The narrative.
He's done this before as well, hasn't he? The narrative. Yeah. Oh God! Why is Kevin on feedback?
If you could live the life of a game character as the narrative of that game plays out, who would you want to play? Narrative.
Dan, any ideas?
I feel like I would love to play as Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank.
Why?
Because so the way that I was framing this question is, I imagine that you don't know that you are like inhabiting the life of somebody else.
Yeah.
You just
Otherwise,
happen to be
the
that
narrative
person.
wouldn't pan out the same, would it?
Exactly. So I think Ratchet's life is really cool because he wants to be like a space ranger or whatever it's called, and he has a little pet robot, Clank, obviously, who's awesome and just kind of sits on his shoulder and does little bits for him, and he's got his buddy, and they just do really cool stuff. They've got hilarious weapons, and they meet crazy, funky characters, and they fly to different planets, and it's cool. It's not too morbid and daunting. Yeah. You know, you're still trying to kind of save the universe, but it's all fun and whimsical, and everything's really beautiful. And
that's actually quite a good shout. I'll give you that one.
Just a lot of fun. Yeah.
That'd be a cool world to inhabit, wouldn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
Oh man, I miss Ratchet and Clank. It was such a good game back in there. You used to be able to fly between the planets and stuff. It felt so like unique and so cool at the time.
Yeah, it was one of my favourites back in the day. And the rumour is at the moment that one of the launch games for PS5 is going to be a
new section's over. All right, this is Kevin's section.
Go, Kev.
But yes, I've heard that as well. That would be pretty cool. But then the last Ratchet and Clank did kind of flop a bit. So
It looked so gorgeous, though.
It did. Yeah, it did look pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin?
I would want to live the life of Claptrap.
Claptrap. To be fair, I feel like you wouldn't need to change much. You're basically just a human version of Claptrap. Just a complete failure.
Oh my god, Ben.
That's me done for today. I'll let you guys.
I just had the birthday party scene in my head, and I'm just like, just imagine Kevin being like that. Just
In Border, you haven't played it, Ben, but in Borderlands 3, there's a section where the window in the spaceship that you're in cracks open and a hole forms, and everything is like getting sucked out. So I think they just use Claptrap to like block the hole, and he just remains there for ages. He just acts as like a plug for the window.
Oh, maybe I should play Borderlands at some point.
Yeah, you should.
Just
Game of the year 2019.
It wasn't though, was it? So, all right.
Also, Kevin, why would you want to be Claptrap? He just gets completely bullied. And,
Yeah, but
like,
Kevin
ripped
gets
apart
bullied
by
anyway. He wouldn't
everyone
have to change
around him.
much, would he? The only difference is he wouldn't have any legs.
I never will.
You'd have a wheel.
And I can unlock doors that.
Kevin being Claptrap is just the best thing ever, man.
Okay,
it's just so fitting.
In my head, I just wanted to know what it was like to go just to see things from his perspective. But then it turns out I do see things from his perspective. So
Yeah.
Oh,
Just overly positive for no reason whatsoever.
yeah, initially I was going to say Parappa the Rapper, but
I mean,
kick,
yeah.
punch, it's all in the mind.
yeah.
Cool.
I'm just teaching all these kids how to play karate. Play it. You just play
You can
karate.
do that anyway, Kevin.
You
I
can't do. You know that's an actual profession, yeah.
Like what?
You don't need to be a 2D cutout of a rapping hip hop dog to be able to teach someone karate.
Well, no, see, I do because I have curves and edges. Whereas if I was a 2D cutout, I wouldn't be fat.
I mean, you'd still be wide, Kev. You'd still be wide.
Jesus,
Oh my
man.
Oh,
Also, Kevin, to be fair, you've already got the rapping half of it down.
That's
so
true.
Exactly.
Yeah, you just
Just
need
got
the
to learn
karate.
karate now.
Cool. And mine is I think I was thinking of like an RPG. I would like, if I was gonna be a character from a game, I'd want it to be a game with a lot of content. Otherwise, it would get very boring. So I was thinking either Skyrim or Breath of the Wild. Probably Breath of the Wild. Because
Skyrim's a bit of a sad world.
yeah,
Like
Breath of the Wild. I just imagine just like paragliding over there, man. It'd be so cool.
yeah,
Imagine only being able
Your
to
arms get
communicate
tired
in.
and-
Great.
Yeah, that would be a nice world to visit.
Definitely. Awesome. All right, Kevin, if people want to send us some feedback, ask us some questions, maybe just share their love and support and just be amazingly kind to us, or nasty, how do they do it, Kev?
Obviously mustn't have been clear last week, otherwise the Happy Pickle would have obviously wrote in.
Yeah, she probably sent it to, like, I don't know, praise the
Pickle
the
at
dill
gmail.
pickle.
You know. But it's actually, the email is praisethepicklepodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And also, if you want to get us on Instagram, it's Praise the Pickle Podcast. But if you don't fancy either of them, we have Twitter and Facebook, which is Praise the Pickle.
Indeed it is. And I have to say, my art game is getting strong on Instagram, man. So just get involved. Even if you just like art, just get involved for that sake.
It's pretty dope.
Oh, he's yawning again! Jesus Christ! Alright, we're ending it here. That's it. I've had enough of him. So, from me, Benjamin, Dan,
From me, Dan.
and Claptrap. Thank you very much for listening, and we will chat to you next week.
Also, if you like Dark Souls 3, go and check out our monthly Moonlight episode.
Indeed, yes, our Moonlight episode.
Or if you hate it, or if you're less like into reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a good episode as well. So I think we got a bit messy towards the end, but it was
It is.
it was good. And our Moonlight game for February is what's that game called again? Disco Elysium. So if you want to play along with us and send us your thoughts on the game, please do so. Love you all. Toodaloo. Ciao.
Adios.
Pickle.